Are you okay?
I cut myself pretty bad.
What? Are you okay? What? What is happening?
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
What do I do? Hello. 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 This is f***ing absurd. I hate this so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Cochran, and this is the Craig Cochran Football Channel.
Before I get into anything about the intro and who I am and what this channel is and ultimately what I hope for it to become, I want to preface this with the fact that I am so nervous right now.
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like being in front of like lights and production and stuff like that. It's just super weird to me.
Obvious.
So thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. So without further ado, I guess I'll just give you the intro. Right, so like I mentioned before, my name is Craig Cochran. I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been a die-hard football fan, soccer fan,
It's called fucking football, not bumbleclad soccer!
for about 3 years now. Obviously, if you look close enough, you can pinpoint my team affiliation in the background, but I'll get into that in a bit, because right now I kind of just want to tell you all about the nitty-gritty details.
What?
No, there's really no grit about me. I'm literally just a regular desk guy in corporate America working in the apparel industry for a very large American football equipment manufacturer. I've worked in apparel and design for almost a decade now, which is shocking to think about. But aside from those companies that I've worked for in that industry, I've also worked briefly in the media landscape between like 2019 and 2021, 22 roughly. During that time, I was a freelance sports writer and a little bit of a culture writer for my own blogs, as well as a Sports Illustrated adjacent NBA outlet called Hoops Habit, which I really enjoyed working for at the time. That said, though, I was essentially directed at the start to be a clickbait slideshow writer, but hated that idea so much that over the time that I was there, I kind of just started writing.
Whatever.
And my editor was like, you know what?
Whatever.
You see, before I worked for that publication, and what was essentially my roadmap into that publication was, like I mentioned, the fact that I wrote a blog before that. And on that blog, I essentially covered two things, and those were basketball and pop culture. And a lot of the time, they were interwoven. In my blogs, not saying they were generating me any money whatsoever, but they did generate me a decent bit of viewership, which truly shocked the out of me at the time. Cannot even lie to you. Because I was writing roughly 2 semi-long form columns per month. These articles were roughly 1,800 to 2,400 words if I were to put a number on it. Now it's been years at this point. But they were long, and I was amassing about 10,000 views per article, which was amazing to me. I kind of couldn't even believe it at the time, because at that time, I had just gotten out of university. I was at a job that I could not stand. But what that job allowed me to do was listen to podcasts in my free time at work. Not my free time, but actually like throughout the course of the day, excuse me. And because of the fact that I was listening to all of these sports channels and culture channels and all of this, I myself felt like that I could do that. It made sense to me. So I ended up pursuing it, and it pushed me into writing about the two spaces that I felt most entrenched in at that time. Like I mentioned, basketball and pop culture. And then as time went on, while I was a writer for Hoops Habit, I kind of noticed myself getting meh, I guess. After a few months with the publication, I had shut my personal blog down, which admittedly was a mistake, to focus more on writing basketball articles for a publication that brought me more views, surely, but kind of annoyed me with the processes and the pushback I had started to receive, I guess, is the best way to put it. My column premises were never an issue, but instead of writing one full-page column, which I had become accustomed to doing, my editors wanted me to do things like break my think piece up into a 6-slide click-through interlaced with a ton of advertising. And my fellow writers, based on conversations that I had with them at that time, had begun to express similar discontent. And then once that became the norm, I felt it was kind of time to take a break from the banging on Microsoft Word document keys. And then I blinked and 3 years have passed, and here I am on the couch doing the same thing, but this time a little different.
I actually don't even know if I have that answer for you, to be honest. But what I can tell you is that around 3 years ago, I was dropped into a group chat with a bunch of buddies of mine who started the group chat because all of us were planning on getting a new Pokemon video game that was coming out and playing together as we did growing up. Little nostalgia trip for you. But as that Pokemon chatter, I guess, started to fade out, I noticed the discussion transitioning almost exclusively into the coming Premier League season. At the time, I can't lie, I was experiencing my own exodus of sorts, I guess, from the NBA, because after strictly writing about it constantly for almost 2 years, I almost felt like I couldn't even stomach watching it. It had become... And as legends of my time like LeBron and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, as they began to fade more and fall to the wayside in favor of this like new and improved concept in the league of incessant threes and layups. Though I do love me some Nikola Jokic. My passion for the league kind of faded with it, I think, or faded with them, I think is probably the more accurate thing to say. And I've never really been like a diehard American football or baseball fan either. So as my fire for basketball extinguished, weirdly so did my fire for all sports, I think. And it was like that for months. There was nothing local to me that piqued my interest, and I felt like a little shell of myself. Like I was this carcass of former obsession turned digression, you know, and it felt unusual to me because for so long I had this burning passion in me for my local sports teams, and it all just sort of faded one day. And as some of my childhood buddies talked more about the Premier League in that group chat, the more I started to kind of have my gears spinning to back when I was at university, actually, because one of my other friends who was a roommate at the time,
Hey yo, what the fuck?
one of my current best friends, he's coincidentally going to be one of the best men in my wedding coming up. He would wake up extremely early, I remember. That is obviously for a college student, because when I was in school, I was waking up personally around like 12:47 p.m., like doing one of these, you know what I mean? But he was always waking up at like 8:30 in the morning to watch the team that he had become newly obsessed with, which is... Ta-da! Focus? No. That's right, he himself had chosen Liverpool to be his club that he followed. And I remember a few instances at university when I would wake up feeling a bit knackered from the night before, and I wasn't able to go back to sleep due to some nausea or whatever the case may be. And I remember these brief moments sitting with him on the couch at like 8 a.m. local time and watching Bobby Firmino, Sadio Mane, a younger Virgil, and especially, I remember very vividly a younger Mohamed Salah, and he kind of became the first footballer that I really knew of. I knew about him, actually, like very well knew about him because of the relationship I shared with my roommate at the time. And I weirdly remember another morning where he woke up for the Manchester City-Liverpool game. I forget what season it was. I don't remember where the game was being played, but I remember a level of nervousness that he was feeling for that game. And I remember it from the night before as well, because when we went out to the pub or whatever we did that night, I remember he was feeling
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
an uneasiness about him. And I don't think he really remembers those moments because they're really finite moments in time, I guess. So he might not remember them, but looking back on them now as I'm in this stage of my fandom, it's very cool. So what is this stage of my fandom and how did I actually get here? Like I said, something about that group chat kind of got my wheels spinning. I was sorely missing sports fandom in my life at the time, and I just so conveniently had multiple friends or friend groups who I could talk to about the sport of football with because of how obsessed they were, and fortunately still remain at this time, which is a total blessing. So we got in Discord and we were playing our game like we had set out to do, and I basically gave myself a mission and I wanted them to help me along in the mission. And what that mission was I wanted to pick a Premier League team to watch for the upcoming season, and I wanted to receive essentially all of the information I had about those teams directly from my friends. I wanted to know the team's style of play, I wanted to know their stadium atmosphere, I wanted to know who the manager was and if there might be a change of guard at the club anytime soon.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I wanted to know about the local fans, and most importantly, I wanted to know about the players on the pitch, though at the time I obviously knew about a lot of the players in the Premier League just because I am a sports fan.
The team, go sports!
So they crash coursed me on the teams in the league, the players to watch for in the upcoming season, and they basically just gave me a whole lay of the land in the Premier League. They vouched for their teams adamantly, obviously, as all of us psychos tend to do, and they also vouched for a lot of the other teams. I remember Newcastle was one of the teams mentioned because of how great St. James's Park is. I remember Brighton was mentioned because of how much of a treasure trove they are for young talent. And I was, not gonna lie, very interested in a lot of the teams they mentioned. A lot of them had characteristics that seemed like it would be something I enjoyed. But something was just there.
For Isak, Alexander Isak! Oh, my word, what a goal! What a goal from Isak!
In the back of my head, I just kept thinking about the times I would sit on the couch. The rare times, mind you, that I would sit on the couch with my college roommate at 8 in the morning to watch Liverpool. I kept thinking about those times and how awesome it would be if I went forward with that fandom. So Liverpool ended up being the club that I picked, and I was immediately happy with that decision. I had a large group of friends I could shit talk to whenever my club played theirs. I had a best friend I could talk to about our club at any point, which we still do on a daily basis. And most importantly, I felt like I was finally a part of a sporting community again. It had been a long time since I felt genuinely a part of something. Anything really, and in this instance I felt like I had found a community of people who gather no matter what the circumstances to support the team they either picked or had passed down to them by family or whatever the case may be. So as I do with everything, I obsessively dove into it head first. And let me tell you, that 2023-2024 season, being the first season that I was a fan of the club, was an incredibly emotional one. The team got out to a slightly sluggish start of the campaign, but things began to round into shape, obviously, by match week 10 or so, I want to say, as the club started to gain steam on Manchester City. The two teams I remember felt neck and neck pretty much all season, with Arsenal also sniffing at our collective behinds. And then
I will leave the club at the end of the season.
What did he say?
But the Liverpool players still played their asses off. The club still won game after game. But for whatever reason, it felt like the fun was over for me before it had even started. Until that crazy bunch of young bastards in Liverpool's second team stepped onto the pitch against Chelsea in that Carabao Cup final and fair and square mugged them in London at Wembley Stadium. From that moment on, I did not care who the manager was. I did not care who walked in or out the door at the club as a player or executive. Needless to say, I've literally been hooked ever since.
So, welcome.
And now I've made a YouTube channel because of my love for this sport. A sport that has provided me with more community than I've ever had, some of the most mind-boggling moments I've ever experienced, and some of the most intense emotions I have ever felt. I also want it to be known before I go, because I haven't really explained it, but I'll just get to it real quickly. This is not going to be a Liverpool exclusive channel. A lot of the content will likely focus around the club that I love the most, obviously, but there are so many things that I want to discuss. I want to discuss other teams, other players, transfer windows, what other players might look like on other teams, managerial styles, tactical developments, you name it. There are elements of this sport endlessly to get immersed in, and I just can't wait to dive into any of them, really, because I really do love this so much, and it's super exciting to talk about it and be here and have even one person listening or watching. So if that person is you, thank you so much. So what I would love for you to do is, my God, I cannot even believe I'm saying this. Like and subscribe below. God damn it. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to give this a watch, and I'll see you guys very shortly. See ya!
Basically just need to talk, right? Yeah, pretty much. Talk. I don't even know where to start.